Me and my colleagues started applying for a PhD.
My research focused on life cycle embodied impact assessment and life cycle cost analysis of Australian shopping centres.
In my case, my research associated with two research concepts, which are reverse logistics supply chain and risk management.
I'm not saying it's all roses. There are definitely times where you might feel like you should give it up.
Now we are living in one of the most livable cities in the world, so I think that is another plus point that we have.
Hello everyone, I'm Ruchini Jayasinghe. Welcome to my channel Research Life. This is another episode where I invite PhD fellows and students to discuss their achievements and lessons learned in their PhD journeys. Today I have two brilliant young ladies with me who are also very good friends of mine. Please welcome Dr. Ruchini Jayasinghe and Dr. Kaushalya Weththasinghe. They pursued their doctoral degrees in Australia and completed their studies in 2020. Dr. Ruchini Jayasinghe completed her Ph.D. in construction management at University of South Australia. Currently, she is working as a teaching academic at the same university. Dr. Kaushalya Weththasinghe completed her Ph.D. in architecture, building and planning at University of Melbourne. Currently, she is working as a casual researcher at Deakin University. First of all, Ruchini and Kaushi, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. My very first question to Ruchini. So, could you explain your PhD journey? I mean, why did you think of doing a PhD overseas, and how did you find a PhD scholarship?
Actually, Nipuni, I completed my first degree, B.Sc Honours in Quantity Serving at University of Moratuwa, Sri Lanka, with a first class. Then I thought of joining the same university as a temporary lecturer, and I worked there about a year. While working as a temporary lecturer, I realized that we should accomplish some key milestones if we are to continue our career as an academic. So there actually we realized the value and the importance of doing a PhD in this academic career. So by the time actually we had also heard some of the PhD stories from our seniors, and we knew that how was it. Therefore, me and my colleagues who were fresh graduates started applying for a PhD. I should say we have been advised that getting an international exposure is one of the best opportunities that one could have in their academic life. So we thought of applying for the universities in different countries such as Australia, UK, Hong Kong, and etc. So first of all, the most important thing that you need to do before applying for a PhD is you need to demonstrate your English abilities before applying for the PhD. Then actually I completed my IELTS exam before contacting any supervisors or any other personalities, any other persons. So the other thing you need to do is you need to showcase your research publications or research qualifications. So by the time I had participated few conferences and had few publications in hand. So with all these things, I started contacting potential supervisors in my field. So initially I contacted them through emails. Meanwhile, we were informed through our Department of Building Economics, about a PhD opportunity at UniSA. Then actually I applied, me and my colleagues applied for that particular opportunity at University of South Australia. So I was able to secure a PhD and was awarded with the University President's Scholarship, UPS scholarship at UniSA in 2016. So that's how I entered into my PhD journey.
That's really nice. And you mentioned your colleagues, that means us, right?
Yeah, of course. Actually, we applied together.
Yeah. So, Kaushi, what is your story?
Well, same as Ruchini, I also did my bachelor's at University of Moratuwa and joined the department as a temporary lecturer. And as young academics, we were encouraged to pursue higher research degrees, and that was kind of my motivation. And I was interested in doing a PhD overseas because I've always wanted to gain foreign exposure, and I thought that it would be a great experience for my life. And while I was working in the department, I met a senior lecturer from UNIMELB who visited there to do a guest lecture. So I was very interested in checking with him regarding potential PhD opportunities, and he was satisfied with my qualifications and encouraged me to apply for the scholarship. And 6 months later, I was offered the university admission and the full scholarship. Yeah, that's my story.
Great. Okay. Okay, if I ask both of you, why did you select Australia to pursue PhD? Maybe Kaushi, you go first.
When I was looking for PhD opportunities, as you know, I mostly focused on the ones in Australia and the UK because I liked both countries, so it was kind of a personal choice. And when I was offered the opportunity, I didn't hesitate to accept. And in addition, I believe actually Australia is a great country to live. And in terms of job opportunities and career growth, it's a good region to start your career as a young academic. And Ruchini, do you have something to add?
Yeah, of course, Kaushi. I totally agree with you. Actually, Australia is one of the best country to host PhDs with world-class research centers. So that is one plus point that we have with Australia and for selecting Australia as the country. And also it has the average PhD length, which is 3.5 years. That means 3.5 years average. So which is another special thing that we found in Australia compared to other countries. So in my case, and of course in Kaushalya's case as well, now we are living in one of the most livable cities in the world. So I think that is another plus point that we have.
That's really impressive. So I guess prospective students might want to know the monthly stipend. So does it cover all the expenses and like tuition fees, living expenses, likewise? So Ruchini, what do you think?
Yeah, Nipuni, it depends on the type of the scholarship that you applied for. In my university, University of South Australia, basically they have fully funded research degree scholarships for both domestic and international students. So if you are an international student, of course you have that opportunity to apply for a scholarship, especially if you have that sound academic and research qualifications. Yes, you are eligible to apply for a PhD in Australia. And when talking about the scholarships, these scholarships typically include tax-free living allowance. So that's the most important thing, the stipend that we have. So you receive that stipend fortnightly. Actually, I received that that stipend around 1,100 Australian dollars fortnightly, and and then this particular scholarship includes tuition fees and other expenses such as overseas student health cover. So if you are an international student, you will be eligible for that particular overseas student health cover. So that's again a very important thing that you will have. However, each scholarship might slightly differ. For instance, my scholarship, University's President's Scholarship, that one did not have a thesis allowance. So in my case, I didn't have that particular thesis allowance. However, if you get selected for the postgraduate research scholarship, that one has a thesis allowance. So that's the slight difference in those two scholarships. So anyway, you will get massive benefits out of these scholarships, especially this stipend, which you will be paid fortnightly.
Okay. So Kaushi, do you have anything to add to Ruchini's answer?
Yeah, actually, Ruchini gave a very descriptive answer. So it almost covered everything. And I should say that the scholarships usually differ from uni to uni as well. Because the one I received, it covered tuition fee up to 4 years and monthly stipend up to 3.5 years. It was same as the amount as Ruchini mentioned. And I was also given a one-off relocation grant of around 3,500 Australian dollars, if I remember correctly. And it helped me a lot to settle when I first arrived here. So when you are looking for scholarships, it's good to have a look into what's included there, and just to get familiar with the idea whether it's going to cover your expenses and whether you will be able to live freely while you are doing your studies.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. So let's talk about your research, PhD research. So what is your PhD focus and the research outcomes? Kaushi?
Okay, so my research focused on life cycle embodied impact assessment and life cycle cost analysis of Australian shopping centers. And we developed a Python-based mathematical model which assessed more than 8,000 scenarios to identify building assembly combinations which minimized embodied impacts and material cost of those shopping centers. And we also assessed the effect of carbon tax on material selection decision making, and found that if carbon tax is to be reimposed in Australia, it would definitely drive construction industry towards lower embodied energy and lower carbon solutions.
Okay, what about Ruchini? What is your research focus?
In my case, my research associated with two research concepts, which are reverse logistics supply chain and risk management. And there I assessed interrelationships of risks in reverse logistics supply chain to improve the quality related operational performance of demolition waste management. So I'll quickly explain what is reverse logistics supply chain, because most of you might not have heard about this particular term before. So large volume of demolition waste is generated at the end of the building life cycle, creating very harmful effects to the environment. So this demolition waste management is facilitated by the reverse logistics supply chain. So that's the reason of choosing reverse logistics supply chain into my research study. And having realized the need to identify and realize the individual risk factors of reverse logistics supply chain, I assessed and modeled the propagation effect of interrelated risks in the reverse logistics supply chain using Bayesian belief networks to find out how it affect the quality related operational performance of demolition waste management. So that's the basic background about my research study, and there I found the cause and effect relationships and the propagation effects of the risk factors in reverse logistics supply chain. And I realized the significance of customer dissatisfaction and health and safety risk factors. And also I found that the root cause of the interdependent risks is treated through a key umbrella strategy to improve the post-dismantling process.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's very elaborative. Okay, so what are the trending research areas or topics these days according to you two? Ruchini?
If I'm talking about my research area, construction and demolition waste management, circular economy has now become a trending topic. As we all know, we use that particular concept to ensure that we have a resilient and valuable environment and to move towards clean energy and resources and supporting the growth of future industries. At the same time, most of the researchers are now looking forward to smart cities, Internet of Things and those kind of areas, and also I believe that Australia is now in a position to embrace the opportunities presented by Industry 4.0. I think Kaushi has some interesting areas to review.
Of course, Ruchini, because digitization in construction is very trending these days. And other than that, they are using system dynamics analysis for construction management, carbon footprint analysis for circular economy, and spatial data analysis are also very timely areas. And building energy modeling, it's also it's becoming very innovative, and they are moving into the areas that have not been done before with the development of technology and advancement of artificial intelligence as well.
That's really good to know about these topics. I think even in Hong Kong, the digital construction and as you said, Industry 4 and IoT, Internet of Things, these things are becoming more and more popular.
Trend, I think.
Yeah. So let's talk about your individual experience regarding your PhD journey. I mean, overall, did you enjoy it? So what are the challenges or issues you had to overcome? Kaushi?
Well, of course, I did enjoy the journey. I'm not saying it's all roses. There are definitely times where you might feel like you should give it up, just do something else, just start something totally different from this one. And because I also felt like that. The biggest challenge for me was developing modeling and programming skills, because I haven't done any of that before when I was doing my bachelor's or when I was doing my advanced level studies. So, but I got great support from my supervisors, and I even had to enroll in a mathematical modeling subject for a few months to learn the basics from the scratch. I also had help from several friends who were competent in the area. And after almost a year's work, I was able to get the gist and proceed with the research, actually. So, it's the PhD is just not about the thesis you produce. It's the full process throughout the whole 4 years. And I must say, if it wasn't for my husband Vishwa and my family's and my friends' support, I wouldn't have completed it. And there were times I'd hit rock bottom, and he would just lift me up and give the nudge to start afresh. And now that I look back, it was a very interesting journey.
Yeah, and I remember someone saying that PhD is not the destination but the journey, right? It has
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, Ruchini, what about you?
Of course, I believe that life without challenges is kind of a boring life. I believe that you also believe that.
Totally agree with you.
Yeah. So, generally speaking, PhD itself a challenge for me because we haven't faced such kind of experience before in our lives. Actually, we have to do it for all 3 years, because I did it actually for 4 years. So, completing a PhD in 3 years, is itself a challenge. And the most important challenge I faced during my PhD journey is my research methodology, because as Kaushi mentioned earlier, I also had to learn Bayesian belief networks before analyzing my results, findings. So I followed some online tutorials, and I participated some conferences to learn the Bayesian theory, and also to learn about the softwares that I could use to develop my risk model. So that was again a kind of a challenge for me. And another challenge I faced was the data collection. I did 25 interviews with industry experts. It was such a challenge because it took more than 6 months for me to complete all 25 interviews. So it was a challenge because it was not an easy task to contact these experts, because they were super busy, and we have to we have to send so many emails, and takes a lot of time. Okay, so and also I should mention about my supervisors. So they were very much helpful, and they were very much supportive, and gave me the flexibility to work and to grow as an independent researcher. So when I look back, I should say that I am very much satisfied with my PhD journey, and indeed it is one of the best decisions that I have ever taken in my life.
Okay, both of your journeys are really, exceptional and inspiring. Okay, would you like to share how did you balance your work life and personal life? I mean, PhD stress is very common term in academia. So how did you manage your stress? Ruchini?
Yes, Nikuni, that's a very good question. Anyway, being a full-time PhD student, you have to have a very good work-life balance. So that's very important. I came to Australia alone and lived alone for 2.5 years until my marriage. So normally you will face that particular homesickness in the first few months. So similarly, I felt that one in the first couple of months. After that, I got used to that particular environment and the university, because I met new friends from different countries, and we used to have get-togethers quite often, and most importantly I met few Sri Lankan friends as well in Adelaide. So we got together and participated in social events and cultural events quite often. So that's how actually I try to manage my stress levels. And I used to work in weekdays in the university at my office, and I kept weekdays to spend time with my friends. So that's how actually I tried to manage my stress levels throughout this 3.5-4 years. So I believe that is a very good practice to enjoy life as a researcher, as you need to get used to this particular life as a researcher even after your PhD. So this is one of the best ways to manage your work life and the personal life as a researcher.
Yeah, that's very true. And Kaushi, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I totally agree with Ruchini actually, because I also felt that loneliness when unlike Ruchini, actually I was here alone only for 2 months. So I was lucky to have my husband here by the end of that 2 months. And even for those 2, it was really hard for me, because I was living in this tiny apartment, and it wasn't like home, and I was missing my family and my country, and it's a whole new world out there, and you are just alone and you don't know anybody else, and it's kind of overwhelming. And yeah. And in terms of my research work, well, for me, I usually prefer working from home. That's where my comfort zone is, and I'm kind of a deadline-induced worker, so being stressed was my motivation to complete the tasks usually. And I was happy to have a great bunch of friends living nearby who are always looking forward to get together. So during weekends, we'd go outside, play tennis, basketball, or any other sport, or we'd stay inside and play cards for hours and hours. And we'd go see a movie or go on a hike or a small day trip, just to get our minds off work and recharge.
Okay, I think in a way, 3 of us are lucky, because we were having that luxury to select where we work. I mean, our supervisors were not that, particular about working at the office, right? So yeah. Okay,
Having that freedom was actually a great opportunity.
That's true.
They're actually very flexible, so they don't want us to be there at the office full day or 7 days a week. Yeah, they were very much flexible.
Yeah, as long as we do our work, they were satisfied with us. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, my final question. Any thoughts or any messages to young researchers out there, Ruchini?
Nipuni, what I can say is enjoy what you do, enjoy your life to the fullest. So that's the most important advice that I could give someone who is willing to do a PhD in future, and for the current researchers as well, because we have to do the research throughout our lives. So what we need to do is we have to get that particular training out of this particular PhD life. So we have to enjoy our PhD, and we have to enjoy our research, and we have to focus on what we are doing, and we have to somehow get the targets and somehow attain the aims. So for that, you have to enjoy what you are doing, and don't compare your work with anyone else, and you have to do your own work focusing on your aim. So that's the most important advice that I could give someone else.
That's very true. So, Kaushik, do you have anything to say?
Well, I totally agree with Ruchini because that's how I feel too. And the only thing I have to say is that the ones who are doing the research right now, it's just hang in there, because there might be times that you feel like, oh my God, when is this going to end? Am I ever going to finish this one? Or what's going to happen to me? Because there is a finish line, even though you don't feel like it at times, you know. So just try to enjoy the journey as much as possible, because it's once in a lifetime opportunity. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's all. Thank you very much again for joining me today. So,
All right. Thank you for having us.
okay, so see you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nipuni, for having us today, and wishing you all the best with your channel, and really appreciate your effort for doing this particular channel, and it will be a very useful one in future for the early career researchers.
Okay, thank you so much, and I wish you all the best. Okay, see you.
Best of luck. Bye,
Bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah. Bye. Bye, Ruchini. Bye.